All right, let's talk about that Cincinnati offensive line, or lack thereof. I mean, last year it was it wasn't great. Like, let's just be honest, especially in pass protection, and especially once Riley Reef went down late in the season, it really struggled there in the playoffs. And listen, they got to the Super Bowl, right? Because they had so much other talent. But it's certainly an area of weakness and something they wanted to improve upon in this offseason, and to some degree they have. So I thought it could be a fun video to just talk about what they've done about that and how they have made some improvements, and maybe what still needs to be done specifically at one position in general, in my opinion. So first, let's just jump into it with kind of a play that can explain really what the issue was for them last year. So right here, what you're going to see is this was in the Super Bowl, and this is kind of a good example of when Cincinnati struggled. It's going to be Hakeem Adeniji, who's going to be in a one-on-one block with Von Miller, and this is kind of one of the real ways I think that Cincinnati really just struggled last year when they did struggle with their offensive line. I do think a lot of people often view this stuff as if you have a 1 weak link, you can kind of use other protection to help him out. But like on a play like this, well, Aaron Donald is in the game and he's lined up on your left guard. So you have the tight end who's in this game blocking, who's going to block Donald, kind of forcing Adeniji to have to block one-on-one. So these situations still do happen. And when they did happen for the Cincinnati Bengals, it didn't go too well. As you see, Miller is going to make the move and he is going to help get a sack there. So that's kind of my thing. Is I'm much more of a believer of, I think a good offensive line is one with 5 good players. Not necessarily 5 elite players, but you want to at least have 5 good players, and sometimes you are only as strong as your weakest link. So let's go one by one and talk about all of these guys, starting with Jonah Williams, who might be their strongest link. So he had some injury issues for sure. He, it was actually on the roster in the 2019 season, but missed the entirety of it due to injury. Also got hurt in 2020, but was healthy in 2021 and very good. I mean, you see 1,300 total snaps, and I'm using PFF grades here. They're pretty good, especially for blocking. I know a lot of people hate PFF, and there are some valid criticisms with some of their stuff, but their blocking grades tend to be good. And you see that his overall numbers were very good. I mean, he was solid in pass blocking, a 67.5 grade is solid, and then a 75.6 in the run blocking. So pretty good stuff from Jonah Williams. You don't really have to worry about the issue at left tackle. Meanwhile, for right tackle, they added La'el Collins, who has been really good these past 2 seasons especially. You look at his overall numbers, and listen, he didn't get a ton of playing time 2015, 2016, but since becoming an everyday starter, 2017 was okay, but got a lot better in 2018, was really good in 2019, and still good in 2021. So if that's what we're expecting from La'el Collins, he actually could end up being the #1 offensive lineman for Cincinnati. So getting 2 good tackles, a lot of people feel as though those are the 2 most important positions on the offensive line. So getting those 2 shored up right away, that's going to be a benefit. Going over to Alex Cappa, this was a free agent signing, which it would be fair to have maybe some slight concerns about this. So you look at his numbers, didn't play much 2018, but was a starter for most of 2019 and all of 2020 and 2021, was hurt in the playoffs during 2020 on their Super Bowl run, but still, that's what his numbers were. And you see he has steadily improved every year he's been in the league. So that seems good, but one thing that is very much worth mentioning, I think, is the fact that part of why he got better, you have to assume in some ways, is part because in 2020, Tom Brady got there, right? So how much of that is a factor of Brady gets rid of the ball quickly, makes it easier to pass block, but you also notice that Kappa's run numbers are pretty similar to his pass blocking numbers, and also have continued to go up there as well. So it's possible that's a factor, but I don't know how big of a factor I would say it is. I think he's still probably going to be solid. I'm not too concerned about Cappa. Another addition, Ten Carreras, who is going to be a center for them, even though he's listed at guard at the top of the screen. He's someone who is kind of the veteran of this group a little bit. He's played for a minute now with the New England Patriots, although didn't get a ton of snaps. Again, it's really the last 3 years where he's gotten significant playing time. And again, is okay. His numbers aren't spectacular, but they're solid and they're pretty good, especially his pass blocking numbers as a center. You definitely value that. So right off the bat, 4 out of these 5 offensive linemen seem to be good. But at the same time, last year, that was kind of a lot of what happened with Cincinnati. I wouldn't say 4 of their offensive linemen were good, but it was more so they had one black hole that they really struggled at filling, basically. So what can they do about that this year? What can they do to fill up that right guard position? Well, they have Alex Kappa, so problem solved, right? Well, no, because now the left guard is still the issue. I made this chart for some of the guys that they could potentially put in that left guard position. So you could go with guys who were trying to be the right guard last year, Jackson Carman and Hakeem Adeniji. You see I had their PFF grade right there. That's just their overall grade. Neither one were great. Carman was hurt and he was a rookie last year, so maybe you just hope that he can grow into that role a little bit more. But for me personally, I wouldn't feel too comfortable with that with just sort of living with that. I would want to add another guy. That's just kind of how I feel about this. I like the idea of having a Jackson Carman kind of as depth, but you know, there's other guys who performed a lot better last year that you could go with. One of which, so the other options on the bottom half of this section, Quentin Spain, who was their left guard last year and was pretty good for them. And in fact, he might be the best guard available, at least, you know, according to PFF, he was the best guard available last season. So to me, I think it's simple. I just re-signed Quentin Spain, should cost around $5 million or so. You know, and then you have your 5 guys, you're good. Carman and Adeniji can kind of be depth guys. But if for whatever reason something about Spain scares you, there are other guys you can go with. Darrell Williams, Trey Turner, Ode Abushi, and Michael Schofield all had good years last year. Now, they didn't all have good years like in previous years or anything like that, so there's maybe some concerns, but like Darrell Williams has had good years a couple years ago, so maybe you hope that you can recapture some of that magic. Trey Turner had a great start to his career and has been kind of okay since then. But either way, adding any of these guys would be a pretty significant upgrade from Carman or Adeniji, who got most of the playing time last year. So getting that 20-point PFF grade jump, or maybe even 30 points by adding Spain, to me, that's something that I would definitely want to see the Bengals do. And if they do that, I would feel a lot better about their line than if they don't do that. The Bengals do have $18 million in cap space. So again, they also have plenty of cash that they can do. So as a whole, I think that this is the move that they can absolutely make. I would not be concerned whatsoever. I know some people are going to say, well, isn't it really fair to give up on Carman so early? He, you know, was hurt, only played 1 year. To me, it's like, well, yeah, you're trying to win a Super Bowl right now. Like, yeah, give up on the players who didn't play well. And hey, you know, if worst case scenario is Jackson Carman ends up being good next year and it was the injuries that hurt him, well, great. Now you have a good depth player who can be a starter in the future, because a lot of these other options I have available are probably going to be kind of 1 year guys. So that's what I like about it. So yeah, that's what I think about all of this. I think that there's some good stuff here. There's 4 good players that I like, 3 of which are new, but I still want them to upgrade at the left guard position. But that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on all of this? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.